Okay, welcome to the world of software product lines. My name is Patrick Donohoe. I'm a senior member of the technical staff here at the SEI, and this is our overview of software product lines. So this will give you an idea of how software product lines contribute to the bottom line business of an organization. It's basically all about improving the way you do software engineering, but with the purpose of making your organization more effective in the marketplace. So this is not just about the technology, although it has a heavy technology component, as we'll see, particularly in the area of software architecture. But software architecture alone will not get you a software product line. So for those of you that have been through the software architecture courses, for example, and you're wondering, what do I do next with my software architecture skills? This is an example of what could come next, a software product line, where you are creating an architecture to support an entire line of products and not just a single product. But in addition to that, apart from the technological aspect of creating an architecture to support multiple products, there's the business aspect of why you want to create an entire line of products in the first place and why you want to reuse an architecture and reuse components and reuse other artifacts across that line of products, because that's what software product lines are all about. It's a strategic approach to reuse. So as we go through the course, you will see that in addition to a number of technical practice areas, there are also many management practice areas that are required to support a software product line as a contributor to an organization's business. So as I said, we've been working in this area for about 10 years or so. I started off in the area of, first of all, well, going way back, doing the real-time embedded systems testbed work. Following that, then, I worked mainly in the area of domain analysis and domain engineering, where we were trying to promote strategic reuse within organizations. And that, in conjunction with our architecture work, evolved into this whole area of software product lines. So I've been pretty much in this from the beginning here at the SEI. And before I joined the SEI, I used to work for Westinghouse Corporation here in Pittsburgh and also in Ireland, which is where I'm from originally. Westinghouse had high hopes of setting up a European operation in Ireland, but we couldn't compete against the French and the Germans, and so I ended up coming back to the United States and joining the SEI. So what I'd like to do is go around the room and have everybody say who you are and what part of the organization you work in and whether or not you are considering or currently working on a software product line within your organization. And I'll start with you, Mike.
Mike Bandar. I'm also senior member of the technical staff here at the SEI. I'm part of the acquisition support program. I've been with the SEI for about 4.5 years now. Prior to that, retired Air Force, 22 plus years as a software engineer. Reason I'm here is actually because of the customer I'm supporting, the Operationally Responsive Space Office. They have come up with an architecture that has 7 mission classes of satellites based on the payload and a multi-mission spacecraft vehicle bus. And guess what, guys? You have a product line. And we're looking at the software aspects as well as the hardware aspects.
And are they consciously treating this as a product line?
They realize that this has to be treated as a product line and are looking at, there's some gray areas they're wondering about, so that let me go to the class, glean some things, and we'll see about sending the rest of you to the class or getting the online stuff. There's some stuff you need to be aware of.
Good. Thanks.
Hi. My name is Joan Kim, but you just call me Clara.
Clara?
Yeah, Clara. Sorry, I have a cold. I come from Korea, yes, and I'm working at the Kwangdong University as a professor. So the reason to be here, I have a research project related with the clinical decision support system. So for that project, I have developed the component and I developed the architecture. So as Patrick mentioned, what next? So we are considering about how to make a product line for the CDSs in the hospital. So the reason why I'm here.
Okay.
Don McPherson. I'm an architect at Unisys Corporation. Get to work on a lot of large deals, and one of the things that we're looking at is how to leverage information amongst all of the different projects that we're working on and improve delivery and other aspects with respect to activities. So I'm in a horizontal organisation within Unisys trying to improve the capabilities.
Okay, thanks.
I'm Bill Pollack. I'm the marketing manager for the Research Technology and System Solutions program at the SEI. That's the program that Pat's part of, and I'm here to increase my technical understanding of the work.
Good morning. My name is Peter Meyer. I'm from Germany. I'm an independent consultant, and in that role I have worked on lots of different applications and domains, from avionic test systems via data warehouse management to derivatives trading. And over the last 15 years I was assigned the role of an architect in a couple of projects. And now I thought it's probably time to put a fundament below my work and increase my knowledge of the area. So I decided to take the architecture line of courses at the SEI. So I never built the product line, and I don't know if I will in the future, but I guess it's interesting.
Okay, thanks.
I'm Sandy Hess. I'm a recent addition to RDEC in New Jersey, and I've spent the last 22 years doing everything from coding to software project management. And my new employer is hoping to leverage my vast skill set and pump it up a little bit by going to a higher level of architecture. So I'm here to learn the foundations of architecture.
Okay, thanks.
My name is Raul Becker. I'm currently a student here in the Master's of Software Engineering program in TMU. The reason that I'm taking this software product lines is that I used to work on a company for 5 years at least, which we build large-scale systems, but there was very little reuse, trying to push technology with every project a little bit more. And I really think there's something here under this product line. I think it's different from just reusing components and things like that. So I'm really interested in that.
It is. Thanks.
I'm Vivek Jayapal. I'm from Caballas. I'm working as a senior solution architect over there. I like to take from this course as part of the architecture training program that I'm going through right now, get the formal training. So that's where I'm here. So we do use a lot of reuse components. That's part of our architecture guidelines. So I would definitely see this will be a value addition to that program.
Okay, very good. Thanks. This, as I said, is an introduction to the whole concept of software product lines. So by the end of the course, you will not be product line engineers by any means, but you'll certainly have a better appreciation for what's involved in creating a software product line. And in particular, you'll have a good overview of what we call the practice areas of software product lines. We have a whole framework of practice areas, both technical and managerial practice areas. And so you'll see how you need to have the support of the managerial practice areas along with the technological practice areas like architecture and component development. So we will give you an overview of our framework for software product lines. We'll also provide you with some information about how to come to grips with this whole problem of software product lines, the whole where do I start or what do I do now problem. So I've been through the architecture certification. What do I do now? or I spend a lot of time in test and integration and I never seem to be able to deliver to a customer on time, and now we're scaling up to try to deliver multiple products at a time. Are we going to go under, or is there something that I can do that would improve my practice to allow me to deliver products on a more predictable cycle? And software product lines are an approach to do just that, provided you have the discipline to follow through on these practice areas. So this course will give you an overview of the practice areas, and it will give you some examples of guidance for how you come to grips with those practice areas. We have created a set of patterns that groups logically related subsets of these practice areas together. We also have our what we call our product line technical probe, our diagnostic method, which allows you to assess your current state of software engineering practice and make a determination about whether or not you are ready to take on a software product line. The assumption is, and I think we've pretty much covered it here, that you all have some experience with software-intensive systems and are at least familiar with modern software concepts like software architecture, for example. Although it still amazes me when we go and do our product line technical probes that we find a lot of people are still hazy about this whole idea of architecture and don't really see the need for architecture. After all, if you want to make something fast or you want to improve some quality attributes in a product, you do that at product development time. And I talked to one particular product manager who was astounded that you could actually reason about properties of a system way back early in the life cycle at the architecture design stage. So there are still some amazing gaps in knowledge. But the assumption here is that you all at least are familiar with software architecture, appreciate the benefits of it, and this course will give you yet another context in which you can apply your architecture knowledge. So by the end of the course, you will be familiar with the basic activities in getting a software product line up and running. I'll also give you an idea of some of the costs and benefits, not in terms of a monetary figure, but more in terms of what the economists would call the opportunity cost. So when you set up a software product line, you are going to spend a lot of effort making things reusable and coming up with a business justification for why it should be a particular set of products and not some other set of products. So there's a lot of front-end work that you need to do that involves people from the technical side of the house and from the managerial side of the house. So the framework is a codification of those kinds of practices that are needed for product line success. And to adopt these practices may involve some additional training for your organization. It may involve adopting some practices that you didn't have before, like an architecture definition step or an architecture evaluation step. And so all of these things add up to the opportunity cost of launching and then institutionalizing a product line. I will also give you a sample of practice areas across the three categories of software engineering. So that includes things like architecture, component development. Technical management includes things like process discipline and configuration management. And then at the organizational management level, we cover some of the big ticket items, like how do you actually pay for all of this? How do you fund a software product line? How do you launch it within an organization in a way that makes most sense for the organization? How do you come up with a business justification for why you should be creating a software product line or not? I'll also look at some of the patterns, and I'll give you an overview of our diagnostic method, the product line technical probe. So the course occurs in three major parts, and we will cover the first two parts today. We'll be looking at the fundamentals and the terminology and the concepts, and then some of what we call the essential activities of running a product line. The material is all based on the hardback bestseller, Software Product Lines, which you have in front of you. And in addition, you also have a copy of all of the slides of the course. And you also have a copy of the Salion technical report, which I will talk more about in the second part of the course. So in part one, we are going to look at some of the terminology that you will find in software product lines. I'll talk about what software product lines are. I'll also talk about what software product lines are not, because there are some misconceptions out there about what a software product line is and what you should be doing to achieve a software product line. I'll talk about the benefits and, in addition, the costs of a software product line. And I'll talk about the three essential activities, which are, first of all, coming up with a set of reusable artifacts that we call core assets. So a reusable architecture, a reusable set of components, but also things like reusable plans, reusable test cases, reusable business cases, any artifacts that could be reused in the creation of a set of products are fair game for becoming core assets in a software product line. So when I talk about core assets, I'm not just talking about software components. And that's a fundamental that you need to understand, that software product lines are not just about building an architecture and a set of components. There are many other artifacts that can go into supporting your product line effort. So that's the first essential activity, creating a set of core assets. The second essential activity is creating products from the core assets. So product development now has this intermediate level interposed between the activities that it would normally do and what you are now doing to support a software product line by way of creating these reusable artifacts. And one of the decisions that you will have to make in your organization is whether or not the creation of those software core assets to support product development should be done by a separate organizational unit, or whether core asset development and product development should be done as an integrated team doing both activities. And there are pros and cons for going either way, as we'll see in a later module. And finally, the third essential activity is management. Management at the level of product development, management at the level of core asset development, and management at the level of the entire product line organization. And this is the domain of your product line manager. There has to be some person in charge of making all of these activities work together in harmony for the greater good of the organization and the greater good of the product line. And probably one of the most difficult cultural shifts for an organization is maintaining the product line vision in the face of customer demands to add new features or change new features or tailor products in a particular way for that customer that may benefit the customer but can wreck your product line. You're going to have to impose some discipline on the way you create software. You're going to have to create this set of reusable artifacts that will be used to drive the activities of product development. And that cultural shift is often the biggest hurdle that people have to overcome. Then in the second part, we will look at a subset of the practice areas in the framework across these three skill sets of software engineering, technical management, and organizational management. In the later part of the course, then, in part 3, we will look at case studies of what organizations have actually done to be successful in software product lines. So we have a case study from Cummins where they created a product line of integrated engine management systems for big, heavy diesel engines. It started off in the area of highway trucks, but they also were able to move into a market for industrial diesel engines. So anything that isn't a highway truck, like locomotives, marine diesels, ski lifts, road making equipment. The control channel toolkit is not a complete product line, it's a core asset base for a product line. It's a set of reusable components and an architecture to support the creation of the software for the ground station operations of satellite command and control. So this is a government contract that was let to try to save money on the ground station software for satellite command and control systems. The third case study, which I won't go into in a lot of detail, is a startup company in Austin, Texas, called Salion, and they have a very different approach to software product lines. After that, then, we will look at these practice patterns. So these are logically related subsets of practice areas to answer a particular problem within product lines. So, for example, you want to know, well, what set of products should I actually build as a software product line? And there are several practice areas for that. There's a practice area called scoping, which helps you understand why it should be this set and not some other set based on our available domain expertise and based on the technical feasibility of producing that set. But scoping alone isn't enough to make the ultimate determination of what should be in that set. You also have to figure out whether, if I propose that this is the set of products we're going to build, could we actually make any money of that particular set? You know, what's the current market for that particular set of capabilities? Do we have a business justification for creating all these reusable artifacts to support this set and not some other set? So there are a number of different practice areas involved in the decision of what to build as a product line. There's the scoping decision, there's the market analysis, there's the business case, and a couple of other things as well. And so we have rolled these subsets of practice areas into a starter set of product line practice patterns to help you come to grips with the practice areas in the framework. And by the way, there are 29 different practice areas in this framework, so it's quite a bit of territory to cover. So the bad news is there are 29. The good news is you're probably doing a lot of these already, because the practice areas include things like requirements engineering, testing, configuration management, building a business case, doing a market analysis. Your organization is probably doing those things already, but not necessarily in the product line context. And so the framework will show you what the peculiarities are with respect to product lines for each of those practice areas. Then I will also talk about the product line technical probe and how you would assess the state of an organization's software engineering practices by essentially ranking it against those 29 practice areas and asking questions about what the organization is doing with respect to requirements, component development, business case, market analysis, and so on. The product line adoption roadmap is the newest pattern in our patterns collection, and it's not included in the book, which has all the other patterns, but it is available as a separate technical report from the SEI website.